There is a war happening on the soul of our nation, a war on truth, a war on justice, a war on the people. My name is Minister Dominique Alexander. I have stood on the front lines, not in comfort of political chambers, but in the heat of the streets where injustice meet resistance. For the last decade, I've led the Next Generation Action Network into the fight for human and civil rights, from the courtroom steps to the classroom, from the protest line to the policy room. But now we bring the front line to you.
Hello, y'all. I'm Minister Dominique Alexander with the Frontline today, man. I'm so excited about this second episode, right? Correction. But I wanted to just thank everybody for the overwhelming inboxes, emails, text messages that I got on the first episode, right? Y'all, this is not supposed to be scripted. This is a conversation every day, daily, as we can. Some days we might miss or whatever. That's the benefit of being able to just have and be able to strike up live and say, hey, Jeremy, let's go. Let's get this thing. Let's give our take on what's going on in the world. But one of the reasons why I started the Frontline is because there were so many people asking me over the years, like they'll sit down and talk with me and they'll be like, man, I wish you actually, went live more and actually talk with people to educate people, to keep people informed, engaged on what's going on. And I know that a lot of people sometimes always want to stop me, whether I'm at the grocery store, at the cigar lounge, or whatever, and they want to ask me questions about what this case, what's going on with this right here. What's your take on President Trump? What's your take on the current political climate? What do you think about your responsibility? They're always asking those questions. And so, for the last past year, I have been going through concepts with the organization, with the staff and the team, and we came up with the Frontline, right? An opportunity to be able to go live every day that we can, to be able to give my take. On the Frontline, y'all, I'm gonna have guests, but I want to get my base familiar with us going live, you coming, giving me inbox, giving me feedback on things to talk about. Man, I want to hear what you think we should be talking about regarding what some of the conversations that you guys are interested in knowing. Like literally, I want y'all to inbox, email, and for all of the haters, you can keep on doing what you do because you make me great, and I can't do it without you, y'all. So one of the feedbacks that I got from yesterday, they said I needed some cue cards, right? So Jeremy, Carlise, all them, they went and got me some cue cards printed or whatever. So, I'm old school. I might not use this. I might still use, kill the trees and stuff like that or whatever. And, listen, I'm so grateful to the team that we have assembled here at the Next Generation Action Network. I'm so grateful for my team member and my media director, Jeremy, who has to deal with me and my creative, whatever they call that, creative desire, whatever the hell or whatever. He has to deal with it, but I'm not gonna, make a po hustle out of him or whatever. But at the end of the day, Jeremy, say hello to the people. And as we, go through this situation, of course, y'all, and as we continue to go through these episodes, y'all gonna hear me say, Jeremy, put this clip or whatever. Jeremy is controlling this production tonight, so of course, as I got different videos, think of different stuff that I'm talking about, right? This ain't scripted. We got a little guidance or whatever on a piece of paper, but at the end of the day, it's really just having a real dialogue with the people and being able to make sure that we have or hear the concerns that are currently going on in the world, right? And so yesterday, I got so much of a good response to the conversation. Even my current take on the current administration and the current climate, what is currently going on right now in America, right? And so I always double down on this situation because, The Bible tells us our people perish by lack of knowledge, right? And so the reality is that I have to remind myself as a person who is involved in the front lines that are doing the work, that's standing in front of so many different municipalities, school boards, state legislatures, federal legislatures, the work that we do. A lot of times I have to have an opportunity for the people to hear me authentically, right? And make sure that they can actually hear my thoughts and my process. A lot of times for the past 10 years, I've relied on the media telling the story or when I put out a post. But this is an opportunity for us to be able to, for you to hear me just real, just straightforward, unscripted, but actually just hear my thoughts on the process, right? And right now, with so much going on in our community and across the country right now, Father, I was about to say, Father God, Lord Jesus, that's that preacher coming out of me. But look, so with so much going on right now, y'all, it's important that we use the tools that are available to make sure that we fight against this white supremacist agenda. The current climate and the current agenda right now is literally having communities of color in a just big roar, right? Because the manipulative agenda of white supremacy is designed in order to divide and conquer. That is a part of the strategy of being able. That's what colonialism is. Colonialism is putting somebody in a box and saying, hey, oh no, Dominique Alexander is a Black Lives Matter leader. No, Dominique Alexander is a human and civil rights leader. Dominique Alexander has stood for the rights of all different race, color, creeds, sexual orientations, religion, preference, and all that. But colonialism says, hey, let me put him in a box so that then this group of people don't resonate with his story or connect with him because he's so-called a Black Lives Matter leader and this is Latino, so they're not going to listen. That's colonialism. Put them in a box, design this, that, and the third. And the reality is that when we fall into the trap of colonialism, we don't actually get the root cause of the issues of really addressing white supremacy in its fashion, in its agenda that is carried out not only just by white people, but an agenda that sometimes Black people, Latino people, and different people that don't understand. You can fall into a white supremacist trap and using those same principles against different people. And I say this as a reference is like I remember one time I asked a question and I heard a group of Black people and I was sitting there and they was talking about this immigration and this ICE crackdown. And I always say this conversation because it's imperative that people have these dialogues to dispel these myths and this misinformation that continue to come out that mislead people and even communities of color because it's designed to mislead us. I remember I was sitting down with some people and I said, hey, I'm hearing them sitting there saying, oh man, I can't wait till Trump deport this person and this, that, and the third and all that type of stuff because they taking the jobs and all this type of stuff. And I'm asking this woman, I'm like, ma'am, what do? You're in insurance? I said, ma'am, that ain't, hey, listen, them people is citizens. I don't know what you're talking about. Them ain't the people that he's going after. But I also challenged them and asked them a question, and I was like, but do you know they pay taxes too? Oh, they don't pay no taxes. I said, what are you talking about? You can Google that. And I had them Google it, and I sat right there and I was like, and it showed that migrants in this country had paid more than $100 billion in taxes. And I told them, I said, it's probably one of the accurate data sets of a demographic of people because of the simple fact is that sometimes when you're categorizing Black people or Americans that of different ethnic backgrounds, a lot of times it's if they check Black, white, or whatever it is, right? But the reality in this case, most undocumented citizens, a lot of them social security number start with a 9. So you're able to know exactly how many people are pouring in to that actual tax category, right? And so it's like you dispels the myths, right? You dispels the hate that continue to be, carried out by different avenues and different people. And I hate seeing my people, and I hate seeing people of color use these colonialized tactics to go after marginalized community. We cannot do that. We cannot fall prey into that colonialized and that white supremacist agenda. And let me make it clear, like, I do know that all these different cultures have their problems in the past and different things in their barriers that go on and all that type of stuff. But what we can never do is allow hate to divide us. Hate cannot be the lead that divide us. We can have critical conversations. We can have dialogues that bridges gaps, that collectively allow us to accomplish the goals that's necessary needed. We have to have those conversations, right? But at the end of the day, don't let hate lead those conversations. Let clarity, let understanding, let direction lead those actual conversations, y'all. But that's my actual take on some of the political climate and all of the crazy stuff that currently going on. Yesterday I talked about Trump. I'm not gonna, talk about this crazy man anymore because of course, every day he says something new. But at the end of the day, I want people to understand what Donald Trump has done to America right now. You know what I mean? I was having a conversation the other day and I was telling people, I said, what do you think DEI is, right? Diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I always tell people all the time, when people say DEI, make them say the entire diversity, equity, inclusion. My brother Chaz Moore said that at a press conference during the state legislature, and I felt like it was very profound. And he challenged people to say, when they say DEI, I want you to challenge them to really say the words diversity, equity, and inclusion. I am against diversity, equity, and inclusion because them saying DEI is like a scapegoat out of the situation. Force them to say, I am against diversity, equity, and yet inclusion, right? And so I want people to understand, one of the benefits that we got out of the 2020 George Floyd uprising is a lot of commitments from our corporate industrial complex, our municipality, our government, all of these different things. And one of the things that people don't understand is this agenda, they saw that. This agenda that's currently in administration, they saw that and they didn't like it. They didn't like when this company, this corporate company announced their commitment to black and brown people and announced that they're going to diversify their contracts and all of those different things. And I asked somebody, what do you really think when you hear diversity, equity, and inclusion? Do you think that's just hiring practices? Because that's far from the truth. It's not just hiring practices. When you think about these companies, these billion-dollar companies like AT&T, these billion-dollar companies, Wells Fargo's, these bank institutions, Verizon Wireless, the Targets, the Walmart, all of these corporate companies, these are just private entities. These are not even the government municipalities. These are not your local cities. These are not your local school boards, your state legislature. These are none of those. These are private entities, right? And we're talking about the Fortune 500. So as you talk about those Fortune 500s, just think about all the way to your companies that are worth $100 or $50 million. All of these companies have what are called procurement departments, right? And all of these procurement departments have to buy. When you're working for a Target don't say, go down to that Office Max and buy 1,000 pens, buy 10,000 pens at that Office Max. Those companies put out what you call a procurement process. They have a pool of vendors that then they go and buy different things from, right? If it's this sheet of paper that they need, they buy bulks in the truckloads, right? Also, those people who ship and go to their different stores. Those are logistics companies, transportation companies. All of those are contracted services, right? Those are have to be bought by somebody, right? So when you hear diversity, equity, and inclusion, you understand that there are thousands of black and brown businesses that are a part of that economics, right? So when you roll back your commitment, understand that that black company that got 10 logistics trucks, they just got affected, right? Because now those quotas are yet different, right? That black product line, right? That now was selling, that black woman that was selling her product line through Target. Now they're not buying as much, right? And now they're not even looking at that. They're going with a whole nother because they have rolled back their diversity, equity, and inclusion, right? Commitments. And also when we talk about the municipalities, right? We're talking about even in the city of Dallas, in Dallas County, in a blue strongholds, our county governments, our school boards, our cities across this country are having to revamp contracts because of the agenda that's coming from the White House. And understand this, is that they are literally threatening and blocking federal resources from coming to your local cities. Like for instance, like say from the city of Dallas. The city of Dallas cannot afford to have resources be blocked from the federal government. I remember when this discussion happened in the city of Dallas, and I believe that they told us the total of how much they get from their city government. And that was almost like $336 million, y'all, of dollars that come directly from the federal government. And now, when you have a Trump administration that is literally monitoring all of the dollars that are coming and literally threatening to block that, that's putting your local elected officials in a really crosshair, right? And so I want people to really understand when we talk about our economy, when we talk about the state of the wealth in our race, and just our culture, I want you to really challenge yourself when you talk about this conversation of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I want you to stop belittling it in your head because that is a real thing. I have the honor of serving for the last few years as vice chair of the Dallas ISD bond board, right? And in this bond board, it is over all of the construction and the different stuff that goes on inside of building schools, repairing, whether renovations, replacements, whatever it may be, right? And I'm able to see $30 million contracts, $10 million, $7 million, $100 million contracts, all in front of me. And I'm seeing how this economy of Dallas ISD, just Dallas ISD, let's program that, is in what they're contributing. We're able to see numbers like through this $3.5 billion bond inside of Dallas ISD, this created 65,000 jobs, okay? 65,000 jobs, that's Dallas ISD. That's not putting all Houston ISD, all these different school districts all together. So when you think about this conversation of diversity, equity, and inclusion, I want you to really challenge your mind and really expand that conversation. Don't just belittle it, because I hear people all the time, man, we gonna do about money and this, that, and the third. Well, understand that this is the stuff that they're doing. They're trying to cut us off at the waist, literally, like, so that we're not able to really survive. So, today I wanted to make sure that I really highlighted diversity, equity, and inclusion because it's very vitally important. And also, when we talk about this story of Project 2025, we have to understand that Trump, in his office of budget and finance, one of the most, what I always tell people is one of the most powerful offices, and I call it the CFO of the country, because that office literally funds the president's agenda. It releases the funds for the federal government through grants, city funding, all of that type of stuff, right? And here's the thing, while Donald Trump was running all these years, he was steady saying, oh, I don't know about Project 2025, I don't know about Project 2025. But literally the guy that was the co-chair of Project 2025 in that manual is now the person over that office, Russell Vaughn. And I hope I pronounced his name right or whatever, because I'm terrible at names, right? And so Jeremy said I pronounced his name right. But also let me tell you a little bit about Russell Vaughn. Russell Vaughn was also the executive director of the Texas Policy Foundation, right? Huh? Vaught. Russell Vaught. Okay, perfect. Jeremy had to help me, all right? Because I'm a country boy. I'm from the South, y'all. So I'll mess a name up. So for all my listeners and people, just know I'll mess a name up. Don't be clowning me in the chat box in the comments when I mess a name up. But this person was also the executive director of the Texas Policy Foundation. Who is the Texas Policy Foundation? In early 2021, Texas Policy Foundation was the ones that created this critical race theory, where everybody was coming out and saying, oh, critical race theory is going on, and they were going after our school boards, and all of these crazy people started flooding our school boards and saying, that's critical race theory. And a lot of us are people of color, and all these like, what the hell is critical race theory? You know, most lawyers knew what it was because it's actually an actual thing that they study in law school. But most of us that ain't never been to law school, we like, what, please tell me what the hell is critical race theory? And so this is the person that was funding, like here in in Dallas, I remember Grapevine Colleyville when a principal named James Whitfield was being attacked. And I was doing research on the person who was going to Irving ISD and Grapevine and Colleyville ISD. And I realized that this person had got more than $100,000 grant from the Texas Policy Foundation to do exactly what he was doing, going and harassing school boards and attacking education professionals, right? And so when I tell you guys about this agenda, just know that these are not overnight sensations, right? These are not isolated situations. These are plans that were literally planned out, strategically. And this is the reason why I always tell people all the time, watch these national big billionaire funders like the Koch brothers and all these people with these private agendas. We can't allow that to go under the rug, right? And so thank y'all. I want to make sure that I, highlighted that conversation, but and really dive into what is diversity, equity, and yet inclusion, right? And so, as I shift to what my next thing, but okay, real quick. Yesterday, I'm glad that you guys all inboxed me yesterday about my 4 Cliff hoodie, y'all, because one of the things I'm going to do for the first 7 days that I do this show, I'm going to show y'all a series of the different editions of the 4 Cliff hoodies. This is the Oak Cliff hoodies, y'all. I talked about it yesterday. 4 Cliff is a nonprofit in Oak Cliff in 75216 in the zip code that I was born and raised with. Its founder and executive director is my brother my childhood friend, Taylor Toynes. And every year during the winter season, y'all, we rush. They come out with a new edition, and they have used these as a fundraiser every year, and people sell them like, man, they get sold out on these hoodies, right? And so this year, they went and did all of the Oak Cliff different schools, right? They did Molina. I had Kimball's on yesterday, Carter, South Oak Cliff, Roosevelt, even Wilma Hutchins, Adamson, Sons, all of those different schools. But today, y'all, I really got the best school in Oak Cliff, right? And before y'all started clowning me, I already know my school is not there anymore, right? I know they closed my alumni and 2011 and 2012 or whatever year that was, right? But don't come for me because we are still the great A. Maceo Smith. The Mighty Falcons is still, and this is the edition, the gray edition for A. Maceo Smith High School. And I want to shout out all my alum from A. Maceo Smith. I love y'all. And for all y'all haters, we can still be out here with y'all. We ain't forgotten. We still living. We still running the Mighty Falcons. But I do want to do a special shout out to the entire 4 Oak Cliff team, y'all. Go on there. It's 4oakcliff.org, right? Y'all can go on the shopping cart. Y'all can see the things that they have available. Y'all can either get it shipped to you, or you can get it, or you can go pick it up, right? They have the old Marlin YMCA. I think it's 907 Ledbetter, but y'all, man, go check them out. It's really, this nonprofit really does some amazing work, right? And they literally created a concept of a super block, and inside of that super block, they are committed towards making sure that they end systemic oppression. And I want to just, my hats off to this nonprofit because, like I said yesterday, even though I'm the founder of a nonprofit, 4 Oak Cliff is my favorite nonprofit, man. And really, because if you know me, I'm all about the kids. I'm all about the commitment of our community. And yet, at the end of the day, I'm just really just grateful that there is a nonprofit that bears the name of the neighborhood that I'm from, that is committed towards the children where I'm from. And as a child that is born and raised in that community, I know how important nonprofit is like this, right? And so, even though I have a nonprofit, the Next Generation Action Network, I always like to shout them out, y'all. And so as y'all see all these hoodies, y'all, go on 4oakcliff.org, right? Go on there, put your, buy it or whatever. Jeremy got his South Oak Cliff hoodie. Y'all can't see it, but he got his on today. I guess he just thought he was just gonna get in he was gonna get into the clip or something. I don't know why he listen. It's crazy. It's really diabolical that he would say that's his hood when he from the whole Mississippi. You know what I mean? But hey, we take on fosters and adopted children to Oak Cliff, y'all. You ain't gotta always be from Oak Cliff. We take in adopted people into the hood, right? Because we know it's the heart of Dallas, and we know it's hey, it is what it is, right? And so with all that silliness, right? As we continue to this dialogue and continue the episodes of the Frontline, y'all, I cannot express the importance of, I need your support. When y'all see the stuff that's going on, when y'all see the stuff that's going on with Next Generation Action Network, I cannot express to you the importance of your support. This work is not easy. This current climate that we're currently living in this Trump America, it is not easy. It's very hard sometimes, y'all. It's a very lonely part of facing and fighting white supremacy. And I hope that you guys take my genuineness, take it that, and I'm so grateful for everybody that continue to pray for me, continue to cover me, continue to cover my staff and everybody. And man, because this work is not easy, y'all. You know what I mean? And so with that being said, as I'm continuing to do this Frontline, continuing to do and bringing this conversation to you guys every day, y'all, I need y'all to get involved, right? I don't need y'all stopping me at the store and all that type of stuff. Man, I support you. Every nigga that tell me, excuse my French, Lord Jesus, I wasn't supposed to say Jesus, all my training just went in there. I was not supposed to say that word on her. Lord Jesus, all my training. For the person who trained me, and I'm not even gonna say their name, literally, I'm sorry. But for every person that stops me at a store or anywhere and literally said, man, I support you. I really, really support you. For every person that would give me $5 that say that, oh my God, NGAN would definitely just basically blow the roof off on all our fundraising goals, right? So, when you say you support me and you're not a sustaining donor of NGAN, I just want you to, just take a personal reflection in the mirror and say, why am I not a sustaining donor? Why am I not making sure that we continue to build capacity to the largest human and civil rights organization, the organization that I've seen in the last 10 to 11 years in the Dallas-Fort Worth Metroplex and across this country really show consistency. No matter if I agree with them on everything, they have always been there. Why am I not a sustaining donor? You know my reply? I really don't know why. But at the end of the day, man, this is my 2 cents. I ain't got time to be out here all day, y'all. I just wanted to come on here. Jeremy was harassing me all damn day, talking about when we gonna go live and all this type of stuff or whatever. And, I'm supposed to be keeping this consistent, right? And so, since I'm keeping this consistent, hey, let's get the hell out of here. Till next time.
You've just heard the truth. Not watered down, not corporate approved, not shaped to fit their narrative, but from the souls of the street where justice is born. This isn't about the algorithms or headlines. This is about our children, our elders, our freedom, our right to live, breathe, vote, speak, and be seen. If you felt something in your spirit today, if you learned something that they never wanted you to know, if you heard your story in mine, then this is your platform too. I need you to be a part of the movement. Subscribe, follow, stay connected, not just to me, but to the mission. Find me on every platform at Nick Alex. That's NIQUEALEX. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, Twitter, or whatever they call it.